Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today, do another turntable review. This time I'm checking out one. This is actually an upgraded version, a new and improved version of a turntable I checked out earlier this year from Stackstone. This is Savage the One. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure you check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So I think it was back in, June when I did the first review on this turntable. So Stackstone is a newer company. They're based out of San Diego. The turntables are actually manufactured in China though. And this is this is an all-in-one turntable, but it has kind of a unique kind of setup that I was intrigued by initially. And what makes this one unique versus most other or any other turntables out there, at least all-in-one turntables, is it has a split. The plinth of the turntable is split. And it has this almost like isolation pads between the turntable on the top and the speakers on the bottom. So overall, I thought that first version of that turntable was really good. There was a couple of drawbacks I had, mainly the sound quality of it, the bass of the product itself, especially compared to other all-in-one turntables that I reviewed on the channel here. I thought was a little light. And it, even though I think most people wouldn't really notice it or wouldn't really have a big issue with it, it's one of those things that I kind of really noticed as soon as I think the second album I checked out or I spun on the turntable was The Chronic by Dr. Dre. I really noticed it on that album, but it was really just that and the fact that the platter itself was a little undersized, which isn't really going to impact playability of the turntable. It's really not going to impact sound quality. But really, those are the two things I had an issue with when I first reviewed the first version of this turntable. I guess the other thing I mentioned was the dust cover, because it's not really like a traditional dust cover. You'll see when I open this thing up and check it out, because they haven't really changed the dust cover on the turntable. But I did get an email from Stackstone a couple weeks back now and said, hey, we actually upgraded our turntable. They partner with Yamo, so it's got upgraded speakers in it. It's going to have better sounding bass. So they sent me this new one to check out, and I'm going to go through, set it all up, get it all dialed in, and tell you what I think about this turntable compared to the older one. Because I think the first version of the turntable ran about $200 online, or if you go on Amazon. This one's a little bit more expensive. Like I said, they partner with Yamo, so it's definitely going to be an upgraded speaker that you're going to have in the turntable. And with that upgraded speaker, it's going to run you a little bit more. I want to say it's like $250 on Amazon. But last time I looked, there's like a $25 off coupon also. But I'll put links down below to not only Stackstone's website, but all their Amazon links. I'll put all the information down below if you want to check them out and check out this turntable. And always, just like everything I review on this channel, the opinions I state here are mine and mine alone. I'm always going to give you my fair and honest opinion and tell you what I really think about the products I review on the channel. So they've also slightly redesigned the box itself. So this is a Stackstone turntable. This is, like I said, they partnered with Yamo for upgraded speakers for the turntable. And that's what I was talking about, the dual layer vibration. So you got the top half is the plinth of the turntable. And typically with an all-in-one turntable, it's all one unit. It's the plinth and the speakers. But this is separated by these like vibration pads in between the two sections. So like I said, it's different from any other all-in-one turntable that I've seen. So you got the separator there, and then you got speakers on the bottom. They do say it has an enhanced bass. So like I said, I'll play the same album that I played when I did the first review, and I'll tell you what I think of the bass difference between the two versions of it. It does have wireless playback if you want to hook it up by Bluetooth, and then it's got phono and line outputs on there. If you want to upgrade eventually down the road and go to like a better external speaker, that's something you can do with this one also. And like I said, even though this is made in China, Stackstone does have their offices in San Diego. Does have all the gross weight, all the power, all that information on the side of the box also. The model name for the turntable is Savage the One, and then here's the model number, DS04. This is something interesting also I don't think I've seen before, is when you open up the top flaps of the box, it actually has a diagram of what everything should be, that it should be included in the box. The other thing that they've changed on this version of the turntable is the first one didn't have an adjustable anti-skate, where this turntable, the second version of it, does. So that's also a big improvement, at least in my opinion, something that I think makes this turntable kind of stand out compared to other all-in-ones that are out there. As for the packaging itself, they do have the power adapter and the counterweight inside the styrofoam on the inside of the packaging. So make sure you go through, like I was saying in all these unboxing videos, always make sure you go through all the packaging, make sure you get all the parts out before you discard something that you want to make sure you keep. And I think it's kind of one of those cool little touches that they put their instructions on what looks like a record. I think it's kind of an interesting way to do the instructions, where, you know, everything else is just like a fold out piece of paper or a little booklet. But, you know, there's a little more style to the instructions on this. So earlier when I was talking about the dust cover, this is what I'm talking about. It's not a traditional dust cover. It's more like just a piece of plastic, just a plate that sets over top of the turntable. So it doesn't provide the amount of protection that you would typically expect on a turntable. You know, yes, it is going to stop dust from falling on the platter itself, but as you can see, you know, it doesn't totally cover the electronics. So, you know, when I originally reviewed the first version of this, that was one of the things I talked about, was maybe it'd be better with a more traditional dust cover for the top of it. But, you know, the more I think about it, it really doesn't matter, because I always had bandanas that I put over top of my turntable just to kind of keep even the dust from settling on top of the dust cover. It just makes it look a little bit better, I think. But so even with this, the more minimalistic way this dust cover protects, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't make that big of a difference to me. And I do think it's a nice touch that they added in, or they have and this was the same way with the first version of this. They have a ceramic tipped screwdriver that comes along with the turntable, because this does have an adjustable pitch or a pitch adjustment on there. And you never want to stick a piece of metal inside of a turntable to adjust the pitch of it. You always want to use a ceramic tip on there. So this is something I've used not only on this turntable, or I will use on this turntable, but my other turntable also. And just like always, after I put the belt on, I always want to give it a bunch of spins just to make sure that belt is seated on there properly before I put the platter on. And this comes with I think it's the same version, or the same way the first version came with, just an iron platter, which works really good. Set it on there. I'd always do the same thing, just kind of give it a couple spins, make sure it's seated properly. Before I get to setting up the tone arm, you do have your on and off switch right here, and this is also your volume adjustment. It does have a switch here for LP or BT for Bluetooth, and then this does play 33 and 45 is your speed adjustment there. On the front here, it does have a removable grill. There's your speakers. Like I said, they partnered with Yamo for the speakers on this turntable. So that's why it's got the Sound by Yamo on there. The one thing you always want to make sure is when you do, before you start or finish setting up this turntable, you always want to take off these. These are like a dampener to make sure that it doesn't bang around during shipment. So there should be 4 of these on this turntable. Then on the back of the turntable, you have your ground connector, your phono and line switch, because this does have a built-in preamp. It has your RCA connectors there. Like I said before, you can connect this to external speakers if you don't want to use the built-in speakers in this. And then it has your power input right here. And you can see a little better on its side here that it is in fact 2 separate pieces. You get the top half, which is the plinth, and then the bottom half, which is the speakers. And you can see the give that's in there. So, like I said, it's going to absorb any kind of sound that or vibration coming from the speaker that could impact the sound quality of the turntable. Something else that's a little different about this turntable is, on pretty much every other turntable out there, the counterweight screws onto the back of the tone arm, which this just has this like rubber washer on the inside of it. So this just slides onto the back. So what you do is you slide it on to 0, which should give you a nice neutral position on that tone arm. And then you'll bump this up to 2.5 grams. 2.5 grams is the recommended weight for this for the cartridge on this and this tone arm. And having that rubber washer on there should stop it from accidentally getting bumped and unintentionally changing the weight or the downforce of the tone arm. One thing I always recommend doing is getting one of these scales off of Amazon. They're like 10 or 12 bucks. If you go on the Vinyl Den Amazon store, I have them on there to find. They're great. Even though the markings on the tone arm are generally pretty close, I like to use a scale to really make sure I'm dialing into the proper downforce. And you might not really be able to see it on camera because I think I need a. I think the battery in my weight is starting to die. So even though it says 2.5 grams on the tone arm, it's actually weighing in at 2.37 grams. So I'm actually gonna change just to do a slight adjustment to the counterweight on here. See if we can get it right at a perfect 2.5 grams. So I got a 2.51 grams, which I think is going to be the closest I'm going to get with this tone arm. 2.51 grams, going over by that little bit, is perfectly safe for your albums and fine with the turntable. All right, so now I got the tone arm all dialed in. Got my little styrofoam block that I'm going to set over the spindle here in the middle. I'm going to set my phone on here, going to test the speed. Whenever you test the speed of a turntable, you always want to make sure you're centered on the platter. I'm just going to use my little RPM app here. Set it on here, turn this thing on, and give it a spin. All right. Go ahead and hit cancel on here. You can see, I could tell by the way it was spinning that it was spinning slow. So 32.87. So I'm going to use that ceramic. Let me see if I can get that so you can see it on the camera. So 32.87. So I'm going to use that ceramic screwdriver and turn up the speed to try to get it a perfect 33 1/3. Bumped up a little too fast on that, so it's a 33.81 now. So I'll have to turn it back down to try to make it spin a little slower. All right, after another little adjustment, you want to make the smallest adjustments on this because just a little bit of a turn of that screwdriver makes a big difference. But you can see I got it at a perfect 33 1/3. And that's the nice thing about having that adjustable pitch control is you can really get the speed of the turntable correctly dialed in. So the other big upgrade to this turntable is the adjustable anti-skate. So this is something that they added on, so it's not included in the instructions of the turntable. So it does come along with this addendum that goes along. This is just the instructions for the anti-skate. Just whatever you do, always make sure you put the cover back on the stylus before you dial in or adjust the anti-skate. And the way this works is there's a little hole on the back side of the tone arm here, or on the base of the tone arm, that this goes into. And then you use this weight that's on here, the small weight, to adjust in and out, which gives you the adjustment on the anti-skate of the turntable. And as you can see from their diagram, it just clips right on the side of the base there. And like I said, you just use that weight there to adjust the anti-skate. And this is why it's really important to put the cover on the stylus. So what you're going to do is you're going to turn your turntable on. You're going to rest this over the platter here. And what you want to do is you want to drop the tone arm, and then you want to see that the tone arm doesn't make any movements in or out. If it does, you just might have to give it a small adjustment on that anti-skate. And as you can see, it's riding perfectly straight there, so I don't need to do any kind of adjustment to the anti-skate. Another step that's always really important in setting up your new turntable is using the cartridge alignment tool and making sure your tone arm or your cartridge is aligned properly on the tone arm. And it looks like this one is pretty good on there, because if it's off a little bit, it can have huge negative impacts on the sound quality of the turntable overall. So the major improvement on this turntable is supposed to be the sound quality of it. So I'm going to test it with the exact same records I tested the first version with. So I'm going to start with Black Sabbath Headless Cross. I will say that because of copyright laws, unfortunately, I'm not able to play it on the YouTube channel here, but I'll listen to a couple songs off of this and give you my honest opinion of what I think of the sound quality. All right, so I have to say that's a big sound improvement over the first version. I mean, the first version of it sounded good, but there's definitely a higher quality of speaker in this turntable compared to the first version of it. So I'm gonna take this album off and I'll test the Dr. Dre album. All right, so something with a little more bass to it. I'm gonna toss on the Chronic by Dr. Dre and see how this one sounds. All right, so I do have to say that when it comes to all-in-one turntables, I think this version here probably, I think this has the best sounding bass that I've heard now in any of the other all-in-ones that I've reviewed. It's that big of an improvement over the first version of this turntable. You know, are you going to get the same quality or the same sound quality out of this than you will out of $400 or $500 turntable with a receiver and floor speakers? No, that's always going to have a better sound quality overall. But if you're looking for something compact, something you're not going to have to spend a lot of money on, I think this is a really good option. $250, you're getting the turntable, you're getting the speakers, and that's really all you need in this setup. So overall, I think Stackstone did a great job improving this turntable over the first version of it. You know, the first version I thought was really good. The bass was a little light on it. I thought it would sound good in maybe a smaller room. But I think if you're looking to have something other than like a suitcase player or something really entry level, like a Victrola or something like that, I think this is a really good way to go. I think even for like a medium sized room, you're going to get good sound quality. It's going to do a good job filling the space. You're really going to like using this turntable. And later on down the line, you know, if you want to upgrade this thing to some external speakers, you've got the option to do that. You know, it does have an adjustable counterweight. If you want to upgrade the cartridge eventually, you can do that also. You know, this is a good setup straight out of the box, but it has the ability to be something even better than that, you know, if you want to slowly, incrementally upgrade this thing over time. So as far as all-in-one turntables go, I think this is the best one that I've reviewed so far. Like I said, the upgrades they did to the speakers, partnering with Yamo to upgrade those speakers, I think did a huge improvement on this turntable over the first version of it. And, you know, I've reviewed other all-in-ones on the channel here, and I think this is the best sounding one so far. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. I'll put all the links down below if you want to check out Stackstone, if you want to check them out on Amazon. Like I said before, I think this is a really good turntable. I do recommend this if you want to get something like an all-in-one, something you're not going to break the bank with. I think this is a great way to go. It does sound great. I know all-in-one turntables have been rather divisive in the vinyl community over the last several years, but you know, this is one that, you know, people think all-in-ones are automatically going to sound bad, and that is not the case with this one. But let me know what you guys think. Are you guys even interested in all-in-ones? But like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.